Good afternoon to all our viewers today. My name is Sana Sajid, and I'm glad to be your host. Thank you for joining us on all our social media pages. Today, we are broadcasting via our Facebook page. Welcome to this edition of our Beyond the Limits Seniors Lead Workshop as presented by the Artists and Artisans Development and Network with the support of the Government of Canada. Did you know that 29% of the people aged 65 to 74 are immigrants, and 28% of the people in Canada aged 75 to 84 are immigrants? The Advocacy Center for the Elderly toll-free phone number is 1-855-598-2656. I'm so happy to introduce our first guest speaker today, Imam Dr. Abdul Hai Patel. He is the founder and past coordinator of the Canadian Council of Imams. Currently, he's the director of interfaith relations, and he has been serving as Imam and Community Leader for 51 years in Canada. He also served as trustee of the Toronto District School Board for Scarborough from 2017 to 2018, and as president of the Canadian Multi-Faith Federation. He's been serving on an advisory capacity to the Toronto Police Service for 33 years. And additionally, he's a member of the advisory committee of the Ontario Law Commission on end-of-life care and capacity for decision-making and guardianship in palliative care since 2015. So I'd like to welcome Imam Dr. Abdul Hai Patel today.
Thank you, Sana. I thought you were making a speech out of my bio.
Well, we're happy to have you. Obviously, you're very accomplished, and we're excited to hear what you have to say today as well.
Well, thank you, Sana, and the Artists and Artisans for giving me this opportunity to share some thoughts on Beyond the Limits and seniors, where we are with respect to our seniors today in this pandemic that we are experiencing here right now. I'd like to first acknowledge the land we are on of our First Nations and all the other tribes for giving us opportunity to settle here. And also we acknowledge the enjoyment for they have suffered throughout the years, and hopefully their lives will be better in the coming years. Good afternoon, everyone. And when we talk about elder abuse, what is the elder abuse? When we talk on this, we may think of physical violence, that's beating a vulnerable person, or however, there are other forms of abuses often go unnoticed. So I'm going to raise this question again, what is elder abuse? The World Health Organization defines elder abuse as a single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within any relationship where there is an expectation of trust which causes harm or distress to an older person. Elder abuse can often occur when there is an imbalance of control. The abuser either limits or takes control over the rights and freedoms of the senior. The abuse or violence is used to intimidate, humiliate, coerce, frighten, or simply to make the senior feel powerless. Elder abuse or elder mistreatment is a multidimensional phenomenon that encompasses a broad range of behaviors, events, and circumstances. Unlike random acts of violence or exploitation, elder abuse does not always occur as an isolated incident. Rather, it is recurrent in up to 80% of cases. There are currently 2 million seniors aged 65 and over, or 14.6% of the population who reside in Ontario. And I think average age across Canada is about 83, as I heard from Stat Canada. And we are only hearing about more seniors in this pandemic because of the high rate of deaths occurring in our long-term care facilities. Based on studies that indicate 2 to 10% of seniors are abused, there are between 40,000 and 200,000 seniors living in Ontario who have experienced or are experiencing elder abuse. Ontario is also facing a significant demographic shift, according to Ministry of Finance census data. The number of seniors over 65 is projected to more than double in Canada or in Ontario to almost 4.2 million, or 24% by 2036. Then we may ask the question, are we ready for this, to how to deal with senior population? Given the significant growth increase of seniors, it is imperative that we take action to prevent and assist seniors who are at risk and are experiencing abuse. Otherwise, between 84,000 and 420,000 seniors could be affected in the future. So, what kind of abuses are we witnessing in our societies? Can we have the first slide put up, please? These are 4 types of abuses that I will be dealing with: financial abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse. Next slide, please. Financial abuse. The most common form of elder abuse, financial abuse, is defined as any improper conduct done with or without the informed consent of the senior that results in a monetary or personal gain to the abuser and or monetary or personal loss to the older adult. In the experience of Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario, most financial abuse is perpetrated by family members. Now, financial abuse indicators include misusing a senior's property and or funds, power of attorney, theft, forgery, sharing the senior's home without paying a fair share of the expenses, unexplained disappearance of personal belongings such as clothes or jewelry, unduly pressuring seniors to move from, sell, or relinquish his or her own home or other personal property, sign legal documents that they do not fully understand, give money to relatives or caregivers. Now, these are some common abuses for all that can happen in any family across Canada. In case of immigrants or new Canadians, there are some unique forms of abuses which I have noticed and observed. Taking their old age security checks, blackmailing for transfer of assets in their home countries, rewriting the will for making them the sole heir or increasing their share of inheritance, using them for childcare purpose, taking them to school or housework with no remuneration. Now, these are the kind of abuses you may experience, you may notice among some of the new Canadian communities, which are very common in many cases. How do I recognize financial abuse? Now, in the banking and legal side, unexplained or sudden withdrawal of money. The next slide, 2 areas, banking and legal and living status. Can we go to the next slides, please? Banking and legal. Unexplained or sudden withdrawal of money from accounts or ATM withdrawals, suspicious or forged signatures on checks or other documents. The senior is not receiving bank statements, transfer or withdrawal of funds without prior permission, denial to access or control finance such as credit cards, checks, etc. In the living status category, notice of eviction or discontinuation of utilities. Older adult is unable to pay bills, buy food, or pay rent. Standard of living not in keeping with the senior's income or assets. The older person's home is unexpectedly sold. Power of attorney refuses to consider moving in an older adult to long-term care or retirement home in order to gain or retain access to their finances. Now, these are areas of some of the financial abuse. The next one is psychological abuse. Emotional and psychological abuse is any action, verbal or nonverbal, that lessens a person's sense of identity, dignity, and self-worth. How do I recognize emotional abuse? Words that are hurtful make the senior feel unworthy, not considering a person's wishes, removal of decision-making powers, not respecting a person's belonging or pets, threatening a senior, give me gas money or I won't take you to visit your grandchildren or doctor, treating a senior like a child, shunning, ignoring, or lack of acknowledgement, verbal intimidation, being forced into making decisions against the senior's will, threats of institutionalization, do what I say or I'll put you in a home, not allowing the seniors to socialize, including access to telephone, friends, neighbors, or attending social gatherings, withholding or affection such as refusing access to grandchildren. Among new Canadians getting even for abuses daughter-in-law suffered by mother-in-law back home in home country. Now this may sound strange, but it is not strange. That occurs quite a bit as well. And the signs of psychological abuse: low esteem withdrawal, low self-esteem withdrawal, tearfulness, lack of eye contact with healthcare providers, fearfulness, nervous around caregiver or other persons, reluctance to talk openly, waits for caregiver to respond to questions asked of them, helplessness, insomnia, sleep deprivation, fatigue, listlessness. Now, you may not find all of them in one person, but one or two or more in any older person. And when I speak of elder, I should clarify that we are not speaking of the native elders. We are speaking of older adults in all population, in all community. Physical abuse. Physical abuse is any act of violence or rough handling that may or may not result in physical injury, but causes physical discomfort or pain. Physical abuse can be pushing, kicking, shoving, shaking, hitting, slapping, poking, pulling hair, biting, pinching, and arm twisting, spitting at someone, confining or restraining a person inappropriately. Now, how do I recognize physical abuse? Next slide, please. Unexplained injuries such as broken bones, bruises, bumps, cuts, grip, marks, discrepancies between injury and explanation from the senior, unusual patterns of injuries seen by different doctors or hospitals, bruising and abrasions. The sign of physical abuse. Signs of over medication, open wounds, cuts, punctures, untreated injuries, sprains, dislocations, internal injuries, broken eyeglasses, signs of being restrained. And the next one, which sounds rather surprising to many, is sexual abuse. We don't talk so openly about this topic, but that happens in all families, not just with seniors, but others as well. Sexual abuse is any sexual behavior directed towards an older adult without that person's full knowledge and consent. It includes coercing an older person through force, trickery, threats, or other means into unwanted sexual activity. Sexual abuse also includes sexual contact with seniors who are unable to grant consent, and unwanted sexual contact between service providers and their elderly clients. Sexual abuse can be very difficult to identify as embarrassment and shame, may prevent the issue from being talked about or reported. How do I recognize sexual abuse? Signs of neglect and prevention. Then we'll talk about the prevention. Sexual abuse can be unwanted sexual contact such as touching, sexualized kissing, making sexual remarks and or suggestions to another person, forcing a person to perform a sexual act, inappropriate touching, fondling a confused senior, forced intercourse, rape, coerced nudity, and sexually explicit photographing. Signs of sexual abuse: bruising around the breast, inner thighs or genital area, unexplained venereal diseases or genital infections, stained or bloody underclothing, difficulty in walking or sitting, inappropriate sexual comments. And then the neglect, another area of abuse. Neglect is not meeting the basic needs of the older person. Active, international neglect, the deliberate withholding of care or the basic necessities of life to an older adult for whom they are caring. Passive, unintentional neglect, the failure to provide proper care to an older adult due to lack of knowledge, experience, ability, or unaware of how to access local. Neglect can be withholding care or denying access to necessary services, home care, nursing, or medical attention, leaving a person in an unsafe place, improper use of medication, under medicating, not providing food or liquids, proper clothing or hygiene, failure to assist with activities or daily living, abandonment, denial or senior basic rights. Now, having heard all these different forms of abuses, we have to, let's see how we can prevent abuse. How can elder abuse be prevented? Preventive action. There are a number of them that we can take. Seniors can take. Protecting finance, property, preventive actions caregivers can take. Preventive actions community members can take. Preventing actions agencies or organizations can take. So abuse of older adults is everyone's business. Seniors and community members need to be informed about elder abuse, be able to recognize the signs, and be engaged in taking steps to prevent it. It is important to remember that everyone can help and has a role to play to prevent elder abuse. Knowledge is the key to prevention. It is possible to prevent elder abuse. Specific prevention strategies may be required depending on the situation and type of abuse occurring. There are many actions seniors and community members can take to prevent elder abuse. The following are some actions that one slide here you can take. That do not lend your bank card or give your PIN number to anyone. Use direct deposit of all checks that you receive. That is, say, pension checks and OAS, CPP. Have bills automatically paid from your bank account, such as your telephone or utility bills. Direct billing, as we call it. Do not sign any documents you do not understand or under pressure to sign from anyone. Do not be guilt-tripped into doing something you are not in agreement with. Update will and power of attorney documents yearly as relationships change. Now, as it was mentioned by Sana in the introduction about working in advisory capacity with Law Commission. We are working currently on capacity to make decisions in palliative care, and especially to have a will that everyone should have, so that who you can authorize to make the decisions when time comes that you lose your faculty of thinking or cannot remember or do what you want, so that you have someone that you trust that can make the decisions for you, especially disconnecting life support, etc. So these are important legislation that we will be recommending, hopefully that will benefit Ontarians. Continuing on this, the only grant an attorney, as I said, to continuing power of attorney for property and or power of attorney or for personal care to a person that you know now and you trust and whom you will know with respect your wishes. Write into your continuing power of attorney for property instructions regarding when it is coming into effect. Seek independent advice from someone you trust before signing any documents. Read all legal documents carefully, including the fine print. Do not lend money without a formal payback schedule, unless it is a gift. Be careful when co-signing loans or signing over ownership of your home. Ensure that property materials which are borrowed are returned. Keep your home secure and do not leave valuables or large amounts of cash lying around. Be informed about financial affairs. Now, health and well-being. Think carefully before making changes to your living situation, such as moving in with family or friends or having someone move into your home, especially if they promise to take care of you. Plan for your future while you are still independent and mentally capable. Have a power of attorney or living will to express how you want to address your finances and healthcare decisions to avoid confusion and family problems later. Maintain contact with loved ones and connection with friends, family, and support network. Stay active in the community. Volunteer, go on outings with friends and visit neighbors. Isolation increases vulnerability to abuse. Seek alternative options for care. Do not rely only on family members for your care and social life. Take control of your own decisions and healthcare. Educate yourself about your rights and the signs to recognize elder abuse. Have your own phone and open your own mail. Ask for help when you need it. Become educated about services for seniors. Attend local health fairs to ask questions and pick up written materials. Report abuse when you see it. If you're not satisfied with care services you receive in your home or care facility, improper treatment or yelling, voice the challenges that you are encountering. Advocating for rights now, communicating wishes and planning. Which person Do you want to make healthcare financial decisions for you when you can't? What kind of medical treatment do you want? How do you want people to treat you? What do you want them to know? Now, the preventing actions caregivers can take is caring for seniors is a rewarding experience. Caregiving can be demanding when a caregiver becomes overwhelmed and does not have the coping skills and supports to care for their loved ones. They may act in an abusive manner, most often not intentionally. Now, even family members get tired sometimes that if the seniors are living longer and longer and they have to quit their job and take care of their parents or grandparents, then it is also a problem for many that they get frustrated and they can't, they have to change their lifestyle. So that also becomes a problem for many families. Learn about the signs of elder abuse and neglect. Treat all seniors with respect and dignity. Request help from friends, relatives, or local agencies so you can take a break. If the older adult has dementia or continued impairments, inquire about adult day programs or respite care services. Maintain your health and social connection. Seek medical care or counseling to deal with stress, anxiety, depression when necessary. Participate in support group for caregivers such as Alzheimer's Society. Seek intervention services if you are experiencing drug or alcohol abuse. There are many support lines and agencies available in Ontario. Call the Senior Safety Line or other telephone helplines for access to information or local services, or seek guidance on dealing with potential elder abuse. If you feel you need help to care for your loved ones, call to make arrangements for additional care services. Now, preventive actions community members can take. Everyone has a role in the prevention of elder abuse. Educating seniors, professionals, caregivers, and the public on abuse is critical to elder abuse prevention. Community can be engaged in taking active steps to assist seniors who are experiencing abuse or at risk of abuse. Become involved in your local elder abuse prevention committee or network. Learn when there are where and how to report abuse. Engage in the planning of educational sessions on elder abuse prevention and senior rights. Learn about seniors' rights and inform them of their rights. Invite a senior friend, neighbor, or relative out to lunch. Visit them or phone them to keep connection. Learn about local agencies and organizations that support older adults as well as respond to reports of abuse so you are aware of what services are available and how to access them when necessary. Watch and of warning signs. If you suspect abuse, report it. And this is something we don't do because we don't want to get involved in somebody's affairs, but it is important that person may suffer more abuses. So it's our duty to report it if we see signs of abuse. Preventive actions agencies or organizations can take. Provide training to staff volunteers to recognize the signs of abuse and neglect. Conduct criminal background checks and vulnerable sector screening. Checks when hiring staff and or volunteers that are providing care or assistance to seniors and are in a position of trust with vulnerable individuals. Offer counseling services or peer support groups for seniors and caregivers. Become involved in a local elder abuse network. Advocate for seniors and their families when necessary. Discuss any concerns you have about a senior client with a supervisor to prevent further abuse. If a senior discloses they are experiencing abuse or are being taken advantage of, believe them and offer your support. Developing a trusting relationship is important. Learn about the agencies where you can report, get help, or information on elder abuse. And the last thing is know your rights. Protecting the human rights of seniors or all older abuse, all older adults have the right to life, liberty, and security. Older adults in Ontario who are capable have the right to make their own decisions, to choose what is best for themselves, to expect services to enhance capacity, to maintain control over their destiny and decisions, to preserve and maintain their quality of life. It is important to respect the following issues when providing help to abuse at seniors at risk. Diverse cultural customs. Now we have in Toronto more than 180 languages are spoken and there are over 250 or more different cultures. So we need to know, especially in the GTA in particular, but all across Ontario and the rest of Canada, that they have many different cultures, so diverse culture customs, know them and how they can be safeguarded without putting anyone in harm's way. Language differences and barriers. Many seniors, older adults among immigrant communities or new Canadians they have language difficulty, cannot speak properly or express themselves well. Religious beliefs is also important, especially in old age. They don't want to have any kind of avoiding religious practices, as it leaves a stigma on their life if they don't practice their faith. Sexual orientation is also important as part of the human rights code in Ontario that we have here. Lifestyle choices, poverty, socioeconomic status, at-risk factors, disabilities, behaviors, educational background, family relationship, personal attitudes. These are all the things that are important that we must bear in mind about preventing abuse of older adults in our community. How we need to get involved, we need to be more vigilant, we need to ask our government to uh, regulate the facilities of the senior homes and all the long-term care facilities that are there in their last stages of life. And what we are experiencing, what we are right now in this pandemic, is high rate of death. We cannot even visit them because of the contamination problem. So we really need to. This pandemic has opened our eyes to do something more, something we have not done in the past for our seniors. So we have to make sure that we suggest different ways that our seniors' life can be respected, especially in their old age, in their last stages of life. The seniors helpline is there, as I also mentioned. There are other organizations, like there are cyber seniors. If you have a problem with computer skills, you can watch their session. They have weekly sessions on different programs, how to use your computer, how to use technology, elder abuse prevention, then the age council on aging. All different organizations for seniors are there that we can be of help to all of us. Here is the senior safety helpline that we can have. It provides contact and referral information for local agencies across the province that can assist in cases of elder abuse. Trained counselors also provide safety planning and supportive counseling for older adults who are being abused or at risk of abuse. Family members and service providers can also call for information about community service. So these are some thoughts that I shared with you. I hope they are of help. And if there are any questions, I am open to answer any questions that I can. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Imam Dr. Abdul Hai Patel. I think it's just something that we need to constantly remember. Although seniors, we treat them invisibly, they're one of the most vulnerable groups in our community. And the intersection of all the issues, human rights, legal, psychological, emotional, and just the various background that we need to know about our seniors, whether it's cultural, religious, disabilities, everything. It's a lot that we have to think about, but somehow we've made that group so invisible to a lot of people. So thank you for teaching us a lot about that.
If there are any questions anyone has, they can put in chat line, or participant can ask.
I think at this time we don't have the questions here, but we will forward them to you if we have some. But thank you so much for joining us, Imam Dr. Abdul Hai Patel.
Thank you.
Our vision as the Artists and Artisans Development Network is to create a platform that brings awareness to underrepresented members of the community. And together, we want to promote intercultural understanding, collaboration, and community building. Community is at the heart of this Break the Silence in COVID-19 series, and our purpose is to build that community through conversation and the arts. We do that by bringing together a team of diverse collaborators, volunteers, community partners, sponsors, and artists for cultural exchange and celebration. So with that, I would like to introduce our renowned performer, Mr. Shafiq M. Beg. He is a poet, and most of his poems are written on life in Canada, history, celebration of legends, and celebrities. He was invited 2 years ago to the Parliament of Ontario by the chairman of the House, and part of his poem was read while they were flooring a bill to have a provincial poet in Ontario. He has performed on many occasions, including the Police College of Ontario and the annual event for the Muslim Welfare of Canada. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Shafiq M. Beg.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you so much for such a generous and fancy introduction. I hope I will live up to your words. Friends, good afternoon. After listening to such a detailed, brilliant presentation by Dr. Imam Abdul Hai Patel, my mentor, I think there's nothing left behind to talk about today on the theme of this event. But as a poet, I think still there is some room for me to say a few words about our ailing society, neglected youth, our neglected seniors, lost youth, and our desperation to restore physical, mental, and social health of our society. Our society has been tearing apart, and we have been watching it absent-mindedly and expecting someone to fix our problems, the problems we have created and perpetuated by deviating from the basic laws of happy, healthy life. We consume poison and expect nectarine in our persona. We write and read hurtful and expect peace within and around. We have trashed an institution called family. We have removed elderly from our life, not only from our house. They used to be our caretaker. And we have set ourselves on a free fall in a bottomless pit and expecting someone to help us out. Now we are complaining that why we are falling from the grace. Supporting my statements, I have chosen 2 poems from my recently published book called Screams of Silence, Redefining Poetry. And in these 2 poems, the first poem is about an elderly who has been living alone, struggling to stay alive, helpless. And the second poem is about a youth, a young person, so-called successful, lost in his own created miseries and looking for help. In my opinion, the problem our seniors have been facing these days, our youth, our young society member has a solution. And the problem our youth have been facing these days, our senior can help them out. There should be reconciliation. The first poem is called Aging Gold. Once I was young, bright, and energetic. My personality was pretty charismatic. Used to do many physical and mental acrobatic. I studied social sciences and arithmetic. Once I was young, bright, and energetic. In one breath, I used to climb up to my attic. I was never touched by any paramedic. Once I was young, bright, and energetic. I looked after not only one, but many. I spent on them all of my dollars and pennies. I took lots of responsibilities. Never doubted on my capabilities. Once I was young, bright, and energetic. But for the last few years, numbers have started to add. Walking and breathing difficulties. I am really mad. Where have they gone? They used to call us mom and dad. Where have they gone? They used to call us mom and dad. Is the color of their blood still red? Is the color of their blood still red? Last night, accidentally, I bumped my head. Last night, accidentally, in a glass door, I bumped my head. Empty eyes, disheartened, hopeless and sad. I'm getting hard at hearing. Weakening sight. Frail body needs caring. Weakening sight. Frail body needs caring. Lonely and neglected, looking for story sharing. Lonely and neglected, looking for story sharing. Oh God, make me age gracefully. Oh God, make me age gracefully. I do accept challenges in my life gratefully. Grant me some courage to pull my own grocery cart. Grant me courage to pull my own grocery cart. Every evening, I want to play ball and dart. Every evening, I want to play ball and dart. On time, paying my own bills. On time, paying my own bills and feeding myself without a spill. Without a spill. My fight is uphill. My fight is uphill. How long? It depends on God's will. My fight is uphill. Piercing wind or hot weather. Piercing wind or hot weather. Do not spare Joe, Mo, or Heather. Is it all not elderly abuse? Is it not all elderly abuse? Still, we are insisting to refuse. Still, we are insisting to refuse. Take pride in serving the community of aging old. Aging gold. Take pride in serving the community of aging gold. Soon, we all will become helpless, needy, and old. Soon. The second poem is called Grandma, Come Home. Getting tired of watching disturbing images, trying to visit my childhood pages, resting on grandma's arm, listening to stories about fairy and farm. I can tell you those stories one by one. Good old days were really fun. Good old days were really fun. I need you, Grandma. I need you, Grandma. I scream. Give me back my cozy sleep with lovely dream. Give me back my cozy sleep and lovely dream. In search of her, I went room by room, but could not find. In search of her, I went room by room, but could not find. But why did I let her go? Why did I let her go? Was I out of my mind? Far on the road crossing, I saw a crawling object. In today's life, she has the least concern. She's the least concerned subject. In today's life, she is the least concerning subject. I ran to reach her and hug her with a childish passion. I ran to reach her and hug her with a childish passion. but her neglected bones and shrunken face gave me a tearful lesson. Her neglected bones and shrunken face gave me a tearful lesson. Shamelessly, I asked her to come home. Shamelessly, I asked her to come home. She smiled without a smile, and she spoke without voice. She spoke without a voice. Oh, my dear, you have made a wrong choice. I requested again. Grandma, come home. She said, oh, my son, you have no home. You have a house. And that house is infected by electronical mouse. You have no house. That my job is robbed by profit maker. My job is robbed by profit maker. Once I used to be your caretaker. Remember? Once I used to be your caretaker. Breaking news or news breaking, it has caused my trust shaking. My stories are being sold. My stories are used to sell war, not only shampoo and car. My stories are being used to sell war, not only shampoo and car. I ask her once again with my cracking voice, Grandma, come home. I myself is tired of media lies. I'm willing to make some compromise. I promise to give you enough time. It will help me balance my life with rhyme. Grandma, come home. If not, then please visit me once in a while. Grandma, come home. If not, then please visit me once in a while. Though I have acquired a lot, my life is volatile. My life is volatile. Since you left home, I have become very vulnerable. Please teach me once again old wisdom with sweet stories and fable. She said, son, first restore family values in your core. Son, first restore family values in your core. Soon you will find me knocking at your door. Knocking at your door. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Shafiq and Big. I don't know, I just think about my own grandmother and my mom too. I'm the youngest child, so that was just very nice. I thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. So now I was scared that I might contradict with the previous presentation, but somehow I think people will understand. That's how a poet talks. I'm not an office holder or a chaplain or somebody religious authorities. I'm just a poet. So I shared with you my concern. I have written several other poems, hopefully some other times. One of the most interesting poem, which is connected with the Imam Saab's presentation, is called Unpaid Nanny. I will share with you some other times.
Mm-hmm. I think it worked really well actually, because it's you know you touched on the feelings that our elderly have, and also the youth when when we realize we learn so much and we miss them, or maybe you need to treat them better, all those different things. So I think it aligns. I think it aligns pretty well. So thank you for sharing that. And you say you're just a poet, but I think adding the poetry, different things resonate with different people. So for myself, at least, poetry resonates with me very well. So it helps me understand even better and have a deep connection to the issue as well. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you so much to Imam Dr. Abdul Hai Patel and Mr. Shafiq Beg for sharing so much information with us today, and giving us their time. I wanted to also give a special thanks to our team led by Shireen Mandani, Brian Kazala, and Mary Carmen Taylor. And I also want to thank our partners, the Ansar Foundation, Trios College, and Positive Community Development. Thank you to everyone for watching and for sharing. Join us next Saturday for our last workshop in this series, Beyond the Limit, Seniors Lead. My name is Sana Sajid, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your Sunday afternoon. Thank you so much for watching today.